Hey guys, welcome to Lights Out with Ish and Eve. I'm Ish and this is Eve, and we are here to discuss the craziness that was the Austrian Grand Prix.
Bro, so much happened. I feel like we literally just need to cut to the days and get into it.
We do, yeah.
Because
We
we
gotta
could
get going.
probably sit here for 2 hours and discuss and debate so many things
I know.
that happened.
So much happened.
The elephant in the room.
The big point, obviously, Lando and Max. The
We'll get
silly
there.
little shenanigans. We will get there.
Silly
We'll get
little
there.
shenanigans is downplaying it to the Max Verstappen. But we'll get there, okay?
True.
All right. Well, chronological order, guys. Let's roll one practice session,
Yes.
sprint weekend, which makes it even harder to recap because,
So much happened.
yeah, it's not just 3 practice sessions of
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah. We had one practice session. And I really like when there's only one practice session because all of the drivers and all of the teams are like off kilter a
It
little
makes
bit.
things so interesting. Like, I think
Yeah.
it was Red Bull, like, hadn't even run hards the whole weekend until the race.
Yeah,
On the track. It's just, like, throws in little things like that.
totally.
Didn't make a difference, but could.
No, I think my one thing that obviously happened during practice was that the whole like when Max's engine cut out.
I was like, oh, Max Verstappen stopped on the road. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what's happened? 2 seconds later, he's fine. He's back out
Literally.
there. I was like, oh my god.
I know. It was just such standard Red Bull
I
behavior
know.
of like, oh, there's a problem. Okay, it's
No,
fine.
there's not.
Yeah. Like
Actually,
I was
something
really
really minor.
yeah. I was
And it
really
would-
like, oh, reliability issues. Great.
And the fact that, like, if Max Verstappen's going to have an issue, of course it happens in practice.
I
It's
know.
like, no hate, but can't you have a problem in a race for once? I mean,
Yeah,
Australia.
well-
But even in, like, qualifying, and I'm not, like, preying on his downfall. Am I a little off him? Perhaps.
As a Lando Norris fan.
Yeah, maybe a little, but we'll get there. But yeah, he just would. Another thing just a question that I have. We can cut this out if the episode runs too long, but what the fuck is aero paint? And what does it do?
That's a great question.
Do you know?
Sort of.
Okay. Like, why does, like, a bit of, like, yellow
Yeah.
graffiti on one corner of your car help your aerodynamics? Like, I don't get it.
So it's not there to help the aerodynamics. It's there for the the engineers to be able to look at like how the aerodynamics are performing based on how the paint, I think, like moves and like the markings that it leaves and things as the car goes around
like
the track.
with the heating and the wind and the...
Yeah.
I
I think it gives them a bit of like
aero
a visual...
paint is a misnomer then. Because what?
It's basically like it gives them a visual representation of like how I think the air is
Oh
traveling
yeah,
through.
that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But I was literally just saw them like spraying shit and I was like,
Huh?
what does that do?
Everyone just wants to look like the steak. It's all like fluoro green.
No one wants to look like the steak or be the steak.
No.
That anyway.
Well, that was practice.
Yeah.
So then, moving on to sprint quali.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
really hope you couldn't hear my slurp then. I didn't move the mic. ASMR.
ASMR. Are there notes that you have about
I
sprint
had a
quali?
few notes. Lewis Hamilton had a little bit of a rocky ride, but it turned out
Yes.
okay for him in the end.
It did, yes.
But he was stressing. Logan outqualified Alex for the first time properly
yeah.
ever.
Yes.
It wasn't
that's
in a
true.
Grand Prix. Still hasn't outqualified him in a Grand Prix, but
On pace.
on pace.
Yeah.
First time that's ever happened.
Shout outs
So-
to Logie Bear.
Shout outs to Logie Bear.
Did you see the video of David Coulthard like making fun of Logan?
And
for
it
his
wasn't
parking?
him. It was Alex. And I heard them talking about it, and they're just like dodging around the fact of why he thought it was Logan.
I know.
Like, obviously, Alex isn't going to say anything about it because he's too nice.
Yeah.
But, like, they both know the reason that he thought it was Logan is because of how Logan drives compared
Yeah.
to how Alex drives.
Bad driver, bad parker.
Yeah. That was really funny.
That was
He's
really
like,
funny.
and Alex was like, I didn't actually hit the pole, but I would love to see them talk to David Coulthard about it because that was really funny.
Yeah. Little side note.
Yeah.
Anyways, the like whole, speaking of Alex Albon, the moment he had with Yuki in the sprint quali where Yuki was like coming at him and Alex was
Did I miss
so
this?
confused. I'm like fairly certain it was a sprint quali, but Yuki was coming towards Alex,
yes.
and Alex like turned, not realizing Yuki was there, and on a fast lap, and Yuki had to like yoink out of the way.
Someone else, was that in quali or was that in practice?
No, it was in sprint quali, I'm pretty sure.
Really? I thought it was in practice.
Maybe it was in practice.
I don't know, because Yuki spun in sprint quali.
I think both of those things happened in sprint
He
quali.
had an eventful one, but because what happened was someone else was on their fast lap, so Alex. So, like, they went past, and his engineer clearly didn't tell him that there was 2 cars coming.
Yeah.
So he went back out onto the racing line when Yuki was... But I feel like if it was in sprint quali, he would have got a penalty.
Maybe.
I don't know, though. Anyway.
Anyways, those 2 things happened, and that was, like, kind of crazy
And
for
then
Yuki.
SQ3 was insane.
Yes.
First of all, no one went out there until there was 2 minutes to go.
Yeah. Which is, like...
Dicey.
You got one shot, one opportunity.
Yeah. And
I had one heartbreak.
our darling Charles Leclerc. Like, your darling Charles Leclerc. I was like, why is he pulling off? Why is he getting out of the pit lane? Why is he letting him pass? Like, that doesn't make any sense. He stalled.
Yep.
Sent it. He nearly made the line, too.
Yeah.
It would have been a bad lap time, though, because of his outlap would have been, like, not ideal.
Totally.
But
His battery wouldn't have been charged up properly. His tyres wouldn't have been in the right window. But
yeah. That was kind of funny.
I was like, what's he doing?
I know. I was like, I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was a bit of a crime.
That's really funny.
I hated that.
And then Ocon.
Mm-hmm.
Ocon, just standard behavior from him.
Yeah.
Holding up.
He was a bit of a menace.
Oh my God.
This weekend.
He's gone from, I can be a good teammate, I can stay behind Pierre, I need a seat, to let me wreak havoc, because fuck you all. I bet like so many teams were like, we're not interested.
Literally.
And now he's like, let me
It's
show
like, well,
you.
anyway.
Yeah. But like he was like holding up Perez and Gasly.
Yeah.
Like when you see on the, who's the guy? Anthony Davidson? Is that the guy that does the Skypad? Is that his name?
Yeah, he was doing
Yeah.
the Skypad this weekend, yeah.
Him and Jensen Button look really alike.
They do.
Am I the only person that thinks that? And I was like, they could be brothers.
They do
Anyway,
look, a little
they
bit
look
related.
kind of similar.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm not delusional for thinking that. But he was like showing like the dot progression, and he was like, see the gaps, like they're all well spaced, and then you've got, I think it was Verstappen, and then a huge gap.
Yeah.
Ocon, Perez, Gasly.
Yes.
And it's like Esteban Ocon should be
well up.
into that space, and he ended up ruining his own lap, Perez's lap, and Gasly's lap.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
What
are
are
you doing? On to the sprint, unless you had anything else to talk about from sprint quali.
Nope, that was it.
Great. First of all, 2 formation laps.
Yeah, because like photographers were in the wrong part of the pit, like end of the pits or whatever. Like, how does that even happen?
Like, sort it out.
Yeah, for real. That was
Like, I feel like someone probably just forgot to tell them that they couldn't be there.
yeah.
But that was crazy. They did the whole formation lap, and I was like watching with my sister, who like doesn't really watch that much F1, and I was like, hey, gotta get ready, like the start, you know, it's like kind of crazy. Another formation lap. I was like, okay, so let's just hold quickly on that thought.
I know. I was watching it with my parents, and it was the same thing. It was like, all right, we ready?
Ready to go.
Jokes.
Just kidding.
And then it was just the most dull thing to watch because you had no clue what was actually going on.
Apart from the battle that was on TV, or like the shot that was there.
But you had you had like zero context as to like what places all those people were in.
I'm looking at a Haas and an RB. I'm like, where is
are
this?
they? I know.
Like, they could be anywhere.
Literally. And the thing that kind of, I was like, okay, like clearly like something's happened. There's been a mistake and like with whatever is going on with the broadcasting.
Yeah.
And they haven't put it back up. But there was no even like acknowledgement of it. Like, hey guys, like sorry for
Yeah, I'm not sure
You
why
know.
you can't see that right now. I'm sure they'll be getting it
Yeah.
fixed soon.
Like, at least acknowledge it, because everyone's tuning in
Yeah.
and everyone's like, what's going
I
on?
know.
Like, that was, because
I'm like, now
you
that-
don't realize how much you
until it's
need
gone.
it until
yeah,
it's gone.
I was like, especially because I was also trying to explain things to my sister as well.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't. She was like, so where's the thing? And I was like,
Couldn't tell ya.
sorry, I can't help you there. But anyway, Lando actually overtaking Max.
Yes.
Good effort
Yes.
for 2 seconds.
For 2 seconds and then
Left
dropping
the
back
door
to like
wide
turn.
open.
Yeah.
Literally left the door wide open enough for 2 cars to go through. Oscar was like, thanks.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, that was not ideal.
And then Oscar was like right up Max's gearbox for a second, and then Max
Said see you later.
pissed off into the distance. But
Yeah.
like there was a point in time there I was like, maybe Oscar can make this kind of stick.
Yeah.
But I think that was a little bit of wishful thinking, really.
I know. Carlos had a really good start too. I think he gained a bunch of positions.
Yeah.
Like, right at the start.
So did Charles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like off the start, I think Charles got past both Alpines.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
But off the start, it's like
yes.
a pretty good effort.
Yes.
And
And then Nico's like dive bomb on Fernando.
a little crazy.
I
I
thought
have a hair in my mouth. There's a rabbit hair. Shout out to Greg.
I thought that the penalty, the time penalty that he got was deserved because what he did, like he just dive bombed him and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
As we saw in the race. But I thought the penalty points were a bit harsh. And like Fernando
How many penalty
Alonso
points did he get?
2.
That's
Like Fernando Alonso was like, I don't even know why he got a penalty.
yeah.
Like he was just hard
Yeah.
racing or whatever. I do get the
penalty,
time
penalty in the
sure.
race, but like that's enough.
Yeah, the penalty points seemed a bit harsh.
Yeah, I agree.
Personally,
I agree.
like nothing happened.
Can we talk about in a sprint race that Perez finished 17.5 seconds away from Max? In a sprint.
He makes Max look really good. I see why Max wants him as a
his
teammate.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah,
And like, oh my god. Also, another really funny point that I have to make about my own kind,
yeah,
the McLaren fans.
yes.
So I'm a McLaren fan, and I'm an Oscar and a Lando fan. I feel like I am quite
I think you
well
are.
split. I don't
think
feel like
Lando, you like the driver a lot more than maybe Oscar,
as like
but
a driver, but because of Oscar and his like character and his Australianness,
yes,
I love. So it kind of balances out a
Yes.
fair bit, I think. But some of the Lando fans are a little insane. They'll be like, I'm a McLaren fan. And then as soon as Oscar's leading Lando, it's hell's frozen over. Like so many people that I saw on social media were like, Oscar should have had to give the place back to Lando. Like, I
disagree.
Like, they're like McLaren fans and like love the Oscar and Lando like dynamic and like thing that they got going on. And obviously things are going well down at McLaren. And then as soon as it's Oscar getting past Lando on the track,
yeah.
it's like, he has to give the place back. Like,
Does he though?
so I kind of thought that was a little bit funny.
Yeah, I feel like it's actually a little bit the same in the Ferrari camp.
Totally.
Of like there have been times in the past where Carlos has won, and like I think this happened in Singapore last year,
Yeah.
where people were like, "Oh, the wrong Ferrari driver is on the podium," and it's just like,
those are the ones that are being like, he should have to give it back. Like, why? Because you like him more?
yeah, that's not how racing works.
No. There's
Yeah.
a fair bit more going on than
Yeah, this is a sport.
that. This ain't Love Island. The public isn't voting.
Yeah, except for driver of the day, but that's
We'll get there.
that's a
Oh
separate
my
story.
god. That I yelled about this last episode, but
I know.
it's even more ridiculous this time. Anyways.
Quali,
Yes.
race quali.
Race quali.
Out in Q3
Mhm.
was Alex Albon, Lance Stroll, Valtteri Bottas, Logan Sargent, and Zhou Guanyu.
Standard.
usual suspects.
Lance.
It's not even surprise anymore.
It's not
just-
surprising. I just have to point it out because it's so stupid.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyways, quick contract news. He re-signed. Nobody's shocked. Also, Gasly re-signed. There was never really strong rumors of him going anywhere. Anyway, let's continue. I just feel like we should,
True.
that happened
Yeah,
during the week.
tick that off. Yeah. And then I don't think anything substantial really happened in Q3. I feel like it was all pretty. Oh, sorry,
Q3.
Q1. God, Q1.
Q3, a lot happened.
A lot happened in Q3.
Q2, I don't have any notes from Q1 either.
No. But Q2 was
Danny
Danny
Ricciardo.
Rick.
That's what I wanted to say.
know.
Good job qualifying P11, out qualifying Yuki.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yes.
You get that seat.
He called and like P11 too, like nearly made it into
I know.
Q3.
And I don't think it was by too much either.
Yeah, I know. He did good,
He did really good.
which was nice. And then we got to Q3.
Yeah. Max put in an absolute a heinous lap.
For real.
He said, I know quali times have been close recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Max was in a league of his own.
I know.
quali.
It was ridiculous. And the first lap too. I was like, well, that's that.
Honestly.
I was like, where are you going to find 4/10?
I know. I think he put like a second on Carlos when he
Yeah.
first set the time, and Carlos was like up
In
the
P1 at the time. Yeah.
And I was just like, well,
Redunculous. Absolutely stupid behavior.
I know. And then we both had a bit of heartbreak. Do you want to discuss
Yeah.
your heartbreak first, or should I discuss mine?
You should discuss yours because it happened first.
True. So, Charles had to set his final lap. And he just decided that he was off on an adventure instead.
So let's explore.
Yeah.
This
he
grass
said-
looks interesting.
He said, it's time to off-road.
Literally.
I messaged you and I was like, Charles, you're driving a Ferrari, not a Jeep.
Literally. My sister was watching with me and she was like, why is he four-wheel driving? Because the whole thing was like this. I was like,
I know, it was bouncing. I was like, have you just ruined the floor of your car?
yeah.
Like, what?
I think he was lucky to not have like
I know,
worse
more
damage
damage.
than that.
Yeah.
So that was a little funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
and a
like,
little bit heartbreaking.
Oh. Anyway, my heartbreak. I would prefer off the track into the gravel. I don't know if I would actually.
Mhm.
But finishing qualifying, I was like, McLaren 2-3. Not much more I could ask for when Max Verstappen puts in a lap like that. I saw the little timing thing on the side, which had the final standings. I saw it go, whoop.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that? And then the thing disappeared. And they were like, I was like, what are they doing? And they were like showing everyone that was like about to be interviewed for like the qualifying. And I was like, what just happened? Was that a glitch? They were like, Oscar's lap time has been deleted for track limits.
I know.
No.
Seeing him just like walk into his motorhome and like,
And he's
like,
normally
into the
so
garage.
chill. He normally like never shows emotion.
No,
I think
yeah.
that's why I like him so much.
You're like, I relate.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was just so like dejected. I was
know.
like, oh.
And it was so small.
I know. They like appealed it as well, and the
I
FIA
know.
said
He was being interviewed while they were like,
Deciding the penalty, yeah.
and they like submitted their appeal or whatever. And he sort of danced around the question a lot and sort of like he kind of admitted that he went off but also kind of didn't.
Yeah,
and,
I was like trying to
sort of
figure it
blamed
out.
the track.
Yeah.
And anyways, so like clearly he couldn't just outright be like, yeah, I
Went
you know,
off.
went
'Cause he's
off.
trying to fight it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's waiting for them to hear back, and if the FIA like heard that, they would be like, all right, well.
yeah, decision made.
Yeah.
But I do get where he's coming from an extent because so last year track limits was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think they said this a bunch of times
Yeah.
throughout the weekend, but there was like 1,200 violations in the race alone, which is clapped. Like
Ridiculous.
For hours afterwards, the FIA were like releasing who had
Yeah.
done what violations. Anyway, so obviously this year they put in a bunch of gravel to like police it.
Yeah, and like extended the line on like some little areas.
Yeah, and like the whole point of doing that is that then you don't have to have really track limits violations.
Yeah, or such
because-
like vigilant policing, I guess.
Yeah, because if you go off, you're in the gravel and you're losing whatever advantage you might
Yeah.
have gained having that extra speed around the corner
Yeah.
or whatever. So I do get where he's coming from an extent of like, well,
Yeah.
the whole point of you doing that was so this wouldn't happen, and it did
Yeah.
anyways. So I get his frustration, but
Mm.
then rules are rules. You go off if they decide that you've had a, advantage from that. Then
Yeah.
Track
Super
limits.
upsetting.
But yeah, very heartbreaking for Osk.
And again, Ferrari topping Q1, up there in Q2, nowhere in Q3.
Yep.
How are they putting in good laps in the earlier sessions? And I know you don't know.
I wish I had an answer for you.
But like, Sainz topped Q1.
Yeah.
Bruh.
I don't know if that's also like, it depends on what the other drivers are doing too. Like maybe the other drivers just aren't pushing as hard.
Yeah,
whereas
true.
like that's just flat out for Ferrari.
True.
And I think that's also what happened with Charles at the end, was he was like, I just was over driving and like just trying to put in an absolute banger of a lap and tried too hard and went off on an adventure.
Went for a swim in the mud.
Literally.
I have a fact.
Oh yes.
Do you have a fact?
I do have a fact. I wonder if we have the same
I wonder
fact.
if we do. Is yours a quali related fact?
Yes.
I think we probably have the same fact.
Did you get it off the F1 Instagram account?
No, I heard them say it, and then I saw it on the F1 Instagram account.
Okay.
But I did hear them say it.
All right, go.
Well, do you want to say it? Because I said it last time. I had a fact last time, so I feel like you can say it.
So my fact, my
Yes.
useless stat,
Yes.
was that in Q1,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
in Q1 there was the smallest ever gap between P1 and
Really?
P20. Did you know that? Did you see
No,
that?
I'm fascinated.
I'm
But
sure
for real,
everyone-
that's crazy.
Yeah. I actually tried to research an actual interesting useless stat and then just ended up not finding anything I found particularly interesting. So,
Yeah.
but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is
0.798
That's what I
seconds.
found more interesting as well. Like, not the fact that it was the closest ever.
Yeah.
Was that it's 7/10 of a second, almost 8/10 of a second.
Yeah.
That's tiny.
So from, and not
1
even
to
like
20.
Yeah, I would
Not like
I would-
Q3. Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I would be less shocked if it was just Q3,
totally.
but the fact that it was the entire grid within less than a second is insane.
And then also in the same Q3, Max ended up getting pole by like 0.3. I'm like,
yeah, what?
what?
So
Anyway.
crazy. One thing I found really funny actually
Mm.
was obviously last week we talked about how Carlos was like the king of trying to be the FIA.
Lando.
No, this week he actually said they have to give the place back, and Lewis had to give the place back.
Yeah,
He
true.
was
I thought you
right.
were going to say Lando took over King of Complaining. I was
Oh,
like,
no.
well, yeah, he did have to give the place back. He was
did.
right.
He was right.
They're enabling him.
Yes.
He's only going to say it more.
But I did think that was very funny.
Yeah, that is. I didn't actually realize that. That's really funny.
Yeah. Also, there's a few things that happened that I don't think are going to fall into the award category. So maybe let's just discuss those. First thing is Fernando absolutely yeeting Zhou Guanyu.
The funny thing is, because our first view of it was the onboard from Zhou.
Yes.
I thought it was a full Lance Stroll China on Daniel Ricciardo moment. Because of the onboard of Zhou, he went like this. And I was like, oh my God, he just got strolled. And then it cut to the clip of the car.
Strolled?
And I saw the Aston Martin and I was like, no way. But it was Fernando and it was not the same kind of incident at all. But
no, he went
I
into
was
the
like,
side of him. It was
like,
so
no
funny.
way.
He just went bonk, like literally just used him as a backboard
I'm like,
to
what
like
are you
rebound
doing?
around.
He locked up into him.
Yeah.
So like, but on the first look at it, I was like, did you just forget to turn the wheel? Like, what happened?
But that was very funny to watch.
That was kind of funny.
Also the like Gasly and Ocon like battle.
Oh my God.
Throughout
Yes.
throughout the race.
Ocon
but
being a
like,
hooligan. Oh my God.
yes.
I was like, bro.
that was
But
insane.
they fought. This is the note that I had. They fought more fairly than usual.
Yes.
Obviously, Ocon might have pushed Pierre a little bit off the track
Yeah,
at one point
There
or
was that
2
little
points.
moment. Yeah.
But in general, for the two Alpines fighting each other, that was quite clean.
Yes.
Good on them.
Agreed. And I think there was so much wheel-to-wheel racing in this.
Yeah, it was
in
really
this
good.
race. Like, I swear the number of times there was a shot of like two cars
Yeah.
just like running absolutely side by side. It was so cool to watch.
Yeah, literally. Charles Leclerc's start.
Yes.
Okay, because I was watching Oscar off the start. I wasn't even watching Lando and his position. I was watching Oscar because starting in the middle of the pack is terrifying.
Yes. There's
And
a lot going
my
on.
biggest fear was that something would happen to Oscar. I see them going 3 wide and I'm like, oh my God. And I see the end plate of the front wing go flying and I was like, oh no. whose was that?
Yeah.
I was like, I hope it was Perez. But I kind of knew it wasn't because he'd already kind of dropped a
moved
bit.
on,
I was like, oh no. I was like, whose was that? And then Charles was like, box. I was like, yes. And then I texted you and I was like, fucking have that.
I was like, this is good.
I messaged you. I was like, one of us was going to be upset.
Yeah.
It was just
that
a
was
matter
not
of
the
who.
vibe. Yeah. All right. Should we get into our awards?
Yes.
Okay. Biggest dub. Who did you have?
I had George.
As did I.
With an honourable mention because I thought, like, there's no bigger dub than that.
He, Stephen Bradbury,
Literally.
his way to an F1 win.
Literally.
So
Crazy.
For people who aren't Australian, Stephen Bradbury.
Oh my god, yeah, true.
I was like, wait, hang on, people might not know.
Google it, it's hilarious.
He was a speed skater from Australia, and
Olympic speed skater.
Yeah, I don't know what Olympics it was, but it
Would have been early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, but he basically won the race by being so slow that all the other, like, he was so far behind all of the other skaters, and then right at the end, all the skaters in front of him crashed, and
everyone
because he
fell
wasn't-
over.
Yeah, they all got caught up in it, and he just sailed straight through
And got the gold medal.
medal. So
He's a bit of an Australian icon
he is a bit of an Australian icon
because of that.
yes.
And
And George Russell did the same thing.
yeah. George Russell, like, it's ridiculous. Something I had a little note on. It was kind of in one of my categories, but I can talk about it now because I had, like, an honourable mention.
Yes.
But he predicted that he manifested that in his post-quali interview.
Did he?
He did. They were asking him, they said, do you think that there's any chance you could win the race tomorrow? And he said, I don't know. It's going to be tough from P3, Max and Lando, blah, blah, blah. But in the sprint, they were fighting each other pretty hard and it opened the door for Oscar. So I'll just see if that happens.
And it did.
Yeah. Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's so funny.
I want a Toto Wolff cam of the moment he realised Lando and Max were out of the lead of the race.
Well, did you hear the team radio?
Oh my god,
where he was
so
like, George,
funny.
you can win this. And George was like, shut the fuck up.
Because he was like on a corner, like at the, like 360 kilometers an hour. Like Toto's like, George, you can win this, George. And like I saw a comparison to the Lando, we could be world champion. I said the tonality is pitch perfect. It's so funny. It's literally like, it's literally like, George, we can win this. George, we can win the race. It's like, Lando, we can be world champion. It's the same. I liked a TikTok. I think I actually sent it to you, but you would have been driving here.
Yeah.
So you can look at it after.
That's
but like,
so funny.
hilarious.
But I just like to imagine Toto just getting so excited, being like,
He afterwards, he was like, that's one of the stupidest things I've ever done, is get on the radio to George at that moment.
even at it.
I know, yeah.
That's so funny.
Hilarious.
I did have George as a big dub.
Mhm.
I had Danny Rick for his
yes.
points. A little bit
Super
of a slay.
overshadowed thing that happened. Great drive.
I know.
P11 to P9.
Yeah, and given everything that's going on with
Oh,
him
yeah.
and potentially losing his
Helmut
seed
Marko
and
just
yapping.
like shh.
Yes,
My-
but that was great.
Yeah, my honourable mention was Haas.
Yes, I had them too.
I thought
double
you-
points.
Yeah, Haas double, and also not just double points, like 6th and 8th.
Yeah,
6th.
yeah.
Good
Crazy.
effort. Above Perez.
Yep.
I mean, it's probably happened a few times recently.
Dude,
but
okay, so Perez, coming back to Perez,
yeah.
being stuck behind a Haas, battling two Haas's, while Max not only gets a puncture, comes in, changes his tyres, gets a 10-second penalty, and still beats him.
And not only that, like drove half a lap on 3 wheels.
Yeah. Like,
It's so funny. Like how?
how? And like, as Red Bull, how are you not like, this is a serious problem?
Yeah.
Because if Max is not winning, then Perez should be.
Yeah.
Like, you've got the fastest car, maybe the second fastest, but you know, like,
Yeah.
you're one of the top 2 cars.
Yeah.
If Max is not winning, Perez, you should be up. You should at the very least be on the podium.
Oh yeah. Big time.
And you were battling 2 Haas's.
He hasn't been on the podium since like, when was it? Was he on the podium in Australia? No, he wasn't. It was Lando. Has he had a podium since Saudi? By
China.
Lando.
China was his last
China.
podium.
Yeah. And that was in April.
Like, I read an article today about how, like, maybe Red Bull will actually consider
Swapping him out.
We
spoke about this in our first episode. Like, there has to be a clause somewhere.
Surely.
Oh, creaky.
No. Because it just doesn't make sense.
It
Red
doesn't.
Bull was so ruthless with Gasly and with
Albon.
Alex. Like,
And it makes more sense for them to be more ruthless on a more experienced driver
totally.
instead of the young ones. Like, the young ones, like, I feel like as they get more experience, they'll get better. Someone who's
Yeah.
as experienced as Perez shouldn't be doing that.
No. It's just ridiculous. It was, insane how badly Perez did.
Yeah.
And my final biggest dub
Yeah.
was Netflix.
Oh my God. I was thinking of this and I didn't put it on my list, but I did make a mental note to bring this up.
The Drive to Survive episode that will be.
They would have been so happy.
Honestly. I'm pretty sure they even had extra crew there this weekend because I think they were expecting Carlos.
He's not going to
Carlos
announce it mid-triple
Williams
header.
announce it.
It's not
Yeah,
gonna
no.
happen,
But like, I don't know, maybe they're
Yeah.
expecting it. But they would have been just licking their
Cheering.
lips.
Oh my God. They can't wait to recreate the Max villain whole plot line.
I know. And they probably thought like, oh, like, you know, Gasly and Ocon battling, like, this is already going to be a great episode. And then that happened and it was just like, well.
Yeah, literally. Insane.
All right. Biggest L.
I literally wrote down L is for Lando.
I also wrote that down exactly.
Really? Bro.
We're the same person.
Literally.
We spend too much time together.
I just don't think anyone else. There's no argument. We can mention some other L's.
I had some honorable mentions, but I
that
agree.
is the biggest L.
It was massive L for
Oh,
Lando.
he was so dejected.
Yeah, he was very upset.
I was also
Poor
very
egg.
upset.
Yes. I think a lot of people were.
To be fighting for wins these last few weeks
Mm-hmm.
and get, like, because he's been fighting for the win, but he hasn't been, like, they haven't been fighting it out on track like that.
Yeah.
It's the first time Max has had to do that in a very long time.
Yeah. So I think we just talk about it now.
Okay.
Because
That's
we're
fine
on
by
it.
me.
So obviously, like, Max was at fault for that. Personally, I really enjoyed seeing it, and I feel terrible that it was Lando, especially.
Oh my God, if it was someone else, I would have been like, ow! I mean, I was still like that. I was like, my jaw was on the floor. Like, I was aghast.
Yeah. But, like, I didn't watch the 2021 season,
Yeah.
but I think that Max driving like that was very reminiscent
Oh,
of
totally.
the 2021 season,
Mhm.
and it was so just entertaining to watch. Of, like, because I think there was a lot of discussion when that season was happening of, like, Max, like, you know, needs to mature as a driver, and, like, he's just too aggressive and, like, you know, tries to, like, drive too hard and defend too hard, and then, like, has these, you know,
yeah, and
moments.
it's kind of like it seems like, obviously this isn't what's going through his head, but it seems like I'm winning or neither of us are finishing this race.
Yes.
Like, you are not overtaking me. I don't care if I ruin both of our races.
Yeah.
Like, obviously that's not what's going through his head, but that's what it
No,
looks
but-
like.
Yeah. And I think there is an extent of that, of, like,
Thanks, Yoss.
like, I'm not letting you through. Like,
Yeah.
either, you're going to run up the back of me or something's going to happen, but I'm not letting you through. I
No.
think that is genuinely a bit of a thought
Yeah.
process. But I found it so entertaining just seeing, like, that driving style. Because, like you said, it hasn't happened
Yeah.
in a while.
Yeah.
And I just like the thought of Max coming a little bit back into his, like,
yeah.
villain era.
Yeah, totally. And, like, it's just not something that he's had to do. And, like, he's
No.
probably, I don't know if he would have enjoyed that. I was going to say, been saying, like, the last few weeks he's been enjoying, like, having to fight for a win.
Yes.
Maybe not that hard.
No, I think he said in his interview afterwards, he was like, look, it's not something that, like, anyone wants to happen.
Yeah.
But he's like, at the end of the day, it was a race. And we both want, you know, neither of us want to let the other one pass. Or,
Yeah.
like, through or whatever. So, like, sometimes these things happen and it is what it is.
Yeah, and it's like part of the reason Max has got to where he is because he doesn't let people through.
yeah.
It's like that like,
And I think he's built up that reputation
Totally.
to the extent that like there
People
are
are
drivers
too
that
scared
just
to.
won't- Yeah.
yeah. And I think like obviously there was so much going on in that battle.
Yes.
Like Max, did he move under braking?
oh my gosh, yes. So his like weaving was
I think he moved under braking.
yes. Oh no,
But
definitely.
he didn't get penalised for it.
Yeah, I know. I think the FIA were very slow with their decision making. I think they were just waiting to see what played out.
Yeah.
Because it would have sucked if like they were like still battling, still in it, and then Lando gets a 5-second penalty for his like track limits or whatever. And then it
But
would have been
that's
like,
what happened, like, basically at the end. But it was after the
But it was
collision.
after the crash.
There's, like, so much going on. Like, and
Yeah.
then Lando was like, he's moving under braking. And like, Max was like, he's dive bombing me.
Yeah.
But also, the fact that Max was moving under braking, I feel like made it look like more of a dive bomb than it
Yeah.
probably was. Maybe it was a little bit on the edge, sure.
Yeah.
And I also feel like maybe the FIA was like, maybe those things kind of cancel each other out a little bit. But
Yeah.
Lando's dive bombs didn't really cause any problems. Like, they didn't force Max off the track, I don't think. Maybe
They
once.
did a little bit once, yeah. But it was, I mean, all in all, I just thought it was so entertaining to
Oh my
watch.
God,
I know
was-
Lando came
yeah.
off worse, and it sucks for him.
I know, but like any battle like that, it's like so good to see.
Yeah.
But it was a little insane. And then with the track limits stuff, I was like, fuck, it's not even going to matter because
Yeah.
he's going to get this penalty for track limits.
Yeah.
And then they crashed.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro. But also like the whole thing of like, that was Max's fault without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
As Andrea Stella said, everyone in the world thinks that apart from a specific group of people. Red Bull. It was Max's fault. And like, all in all, yes, he came 5th. Still finished the race, finished in the points. 10-second penalty meant nothing.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I guess like that's the rules. Like this constitutes this penalty.
Yeah.
But like,
Totally. And that's the thing. So like when the FIA give out penalties, they're not meant to take whatever the consequence of that action was into account.
But I feel like so many times they do.
Yeah, I mean, yes, in the sense of like, I remember in Australia when
Fernando,
George,
yeah,
and
20-second penalty.
yeah, I think the point at that time that was made was like, if George had been fine and nothing, there was no contact or anything, and George just kind of had to like
He
brake
would've
a
only
little bit
got, like,
harder.
10-second, 5-second.
Yeah, or like nothing, but because it was, he
Yeah.
ended up on his side in the middle of the track.
And
He
they
got
didn't
a
red
huge
flag
time
it. I feel like that's
penalty.
probably what should have been more looked at.
Yeah, a huge time penalty points on his license. So, yeah, they're like not meant to, but I feel like at times it does influence a little bit of like,
Yeah.
okay, we need to make, maybe it doesn't change the, like, the height
System.
of the, like, penalty, like how severe it is, but it does change, like, whether one actually, like, is
Yeah.
given out or not.
Because, like, in the AFL,
Mm.
the outcome is taken into account.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if it's, like, a high tackle or, like, a dangerous tackle, they'll look at intentional or unintentional, low, medium, high impact. What was the player? Did the player get up? Did they have to go for concussion testing? Did they pass their concussion test? Did they get knocked out cold? Like, what was the outcome? And that, like, all contributes to, like, the suspension.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just, like, what I'm used to. I'm like, well. I'm like,
I know. But it's just hard because, like, the way that Max and Lando came together wasn't,
it was so.
it wasn't even that bad.
No. And it just, like.
It was just clearly a weird angle and, like, the timing and the way, like, it
It
wasn't
didn't
a
look like
high
much
impact,
contact. No.
But
was
it
crazy.
absolutely, did you see the shot of the wheel? And it was
Oh,
like shredded.
both of them, too.
I
Yeah, it
know.
was crazy.
Yeah.
But, like, the thing is, because the commentary was like, Verstappen's got a puncture. I was like, oh my God.
I know, because he pulled over, well, not pulled over, but he slowed down first.
Yeah, and I was
Lando
like,
kinda kept
oh my
going.
God, winning. And then there was like all this smoke came out of Lando's back wheel. I was like,
Never mind. I was like, hey, Carlos podium. Let's go.
That was so funny. So funny. Not that Max blamed Lando, but he was like, no, it wasn't. Like, I'm not apologizing for that, basically. Like, it's not that serious. Like, it's racing, whatever
Yeah.
he was saying. I can't remember any, like, direct quotes, but it's kind of gave the vibes of literally last week when Lando was like, oh, yeah, I gave you enough space off the start. And Max was like, are you kidding? because like in the
That's
cool
true.
down room, them all laughing
Oh my
when
god,
they saw the
yeah.
incident, and that was just looked like they were like, oh my god, like classic Max, like that would have like of course that happened. Like they were
Yes.
all laughing at it,
I know.
which was so funny. And
Oscar
that was, like-
being like, because George laughing at it, and then Oscar being like,
no.
that gave you the win.
No, that was. I was gonna talk about this later. We can talk about it now. He was like, "Oh wow, like what a cool battle," and Oscar was like, "You did just win the race because of it."
Mm-hmm.
George was like,
True.
silenced. So funny. Reason 110 why I love Oscar.
True.
But yeah, like them laughing at that incident
yeah.
is giving like when Max and Lewis last
Yeah,
time? Yeah,
Lewis.
were laughing about Lando saying that he gave them space, and I'm like, how about you'll just kiss and make up? They can cancel each other out.
Yeah. I think they'll be fine. They've
Oh,
made
totally.
the media, I think, have tried to like spin this into like
Because you're
massive
talking to
deal.
Lando specifically when he's still so emotional about it.
Yeah, like it's
And that's
just
why
happened.
he's saying like that. He's like, oh, I'm going to like lose, like lost respect for him. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He'll wake up
He'll
in the
be
morning and feel better.
Totally.
I mean, he'll still be disappointed and
yeah,
upset. But like with
in
Max,
a few races time, like
they're
they'll
adults.
be chilling. Yeah. And they are actually, I think,
good
good
friends.
friends.
Some-
It does beg the question though of like all the drivers I think in this current
Grid,
cohort
yeah.
are like they're all I think way better friends than I think any group of drivers previously.
Do you think so, or do you think it's PR?
No, I think it's genuine. I don't think like everyone's friends with everyone. I think
Totally.
that's
That's ridiculous.
very false. But I do think that actually like there are quite good like friendships.
Individual friendships around the grid. Yeah. I
Yeah. Like obviously the like Twitch quartet and
agree.
all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But like I do wonder if a big part of that is because of Max's dominance and because
They've all just banded together and been like, well, Max is going to win anyway. So there's less like
there's less intense competition because it's not
for the win.
for the win.
That's fair.
Because they know that it's whereas now if there are chances like
It's a little bit more.
it's like, well, like this is actually serious.
Totally.
So I do wonder if that trend continues, how those relationships might
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, I feel like we talked well about this. One thing that I just want to bring up really quickly, the only reason that Lando was even able to get close to Max is because Red Bull botched a pit stop.
I know! For like the first time.
All
6
year.
seconds? 6.5 seconds or
And then
whatever
they
it was.
botched Perez's too.
I
8
know.
seconds.
It was so bad.
So
I was like, hello?
all of this happened, yes, but because Red Bull botched a pit stop.
Yeah, for real.
Like what?
I know. It was crazy. I think part of it was they botched it. Well, the like for Max's specifically, because I think they showed that a little bit
Yeah.
more.
They didn't show
The
Perez. The time
wheel-
just popped up, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, the like wheel nut or whatever wasn't coming off properly.
Yeah.
And then because there was a delay in that, he then had to wait for Lando to finish coming through before he could then like leave his pit. But yeah, that was crazy. That botched pit stop.
Yeah, and that was the only reason that they literally were in that battle anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But anyway, my other biggest L's
Yes.
were obviously Max a little bit
Yeah.
because he didn't win. So
Yeah.
automatically that's kind of a biggest L for Max. And a little bit Charles.
I had him on my list because I kind of like take these notes as I go and like think about our different categories.
Yes.
And I immediately was like, Charles, because what, 4 pit stops?
Bro,
10 laps on hards and then pit. What?
every time he came into the pits, it was like, again?
Another one, thank you. But like, I had him as an L, but he finished P11.
He actually,
After all that,
as terrible as his circumstances were, he
P11's
drove
good.
so well.
P11's phenomenal for the situation he was
I
in.
know.
So
Like,
I took
so
him off
close
my
to the
biggest
points.
L list because I was like, you know what?
Fair.
You've only dropped back like 4 places, which
Totally.
is not good. But still, for what happened?
Yeah, it was an L for like just the outcome, but it was definitely not an L for his driving.
Yeah, definitely. The outcome was an L.
Yes. Biggest meme.
There's so many.
Dude, there's so many. Can I start with one?
Yes.
Having Hans Zimmer do the anthem at the start was
I didn't even know that was the anthem. I was like,
phenomenal.
what are they?
I know, I didn't
going
even
on?
recognize it because we hear it so
Oh
often.
yeah, literally.
And I was like, oh,
rendition.
This is a beautiful rendition.
Yeah, literally.
And
That's
he was
really
just
funny.
popping off. He was having the best time. I've been to a Hans Zimmer concert.
you?
Yeah. He's
so random.
actually so cool.
Yeah.
And like obviously is an amazing like composer and musician.
Yeah.
But it was just so random and funny
Yeah.
seeing him there.
What are you doing here?
And then at the end on the podium, did you see him?
No, I didn't see him.
So he I think he ended up giving the like
One of the
constructor's
awards,
trophy or
yeah.
whatever. But he was standing on the side of the podium, and then they got the champagne out, and he was just like, "Whoa!"
Oh.
And they sprayed him.
I love that.
It was because he's really short, and it was just
that's
it just looked
hilarious.
so funny.
I love
I was like,
that.
Mans is living his best life. So that was one of my memes.
Yes.
For sure.
Just something that they didn't even talk about at all, and I just saw it pop up in the side of the screen. I wonder if you noticed this or have seen it on social media since. After the Gasly-Ocon fight, they were fighting. Pierre got through and got ahead. On the radio, Gasly radio, ciao.
I did see that.
I saw it and I was cackling. No one said anything about it, and they didn't even play it. It just popped up, and I was like, please, Pierre, that is hilarious.
There was
On your teammate.
There was some funny team radios.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones was K-Mag when he got told to manage his tires, and he was like, "Fuck
is
that."
Nico managing my He's like, Nico too?
Yeah, no, he literally said, "Fuck that."
Literally, that's so
It
funny.
was so funny. And then like Fernando's like,
Wow. Yeah. Getting overtaken by two houses. This is good.
That was
Yeah.
so funny. I also loved George Russell when he won. Yabba dabba doo.
I have that on my list as well.
All right.
What was
Fred
that?
Flintstone.
Literally, what? I heard that. I was like, what?
It's from the Flintstones.
I was like, what are you doing?
Wait, have you seen the
so-
Flintstones?
No, but I know that that's from
Okay.
the Flintstones. I'm not an idiot.
I was like, wait.
I was like, George Russell, the icon that you are.
Yes.
Because what else are you meant to say? So funny.
Just so silly. I mean, to be fair, he probably didn't have that much time to think about what he
No,
was
oh
going
my
to say.
God,
Because it all
literally.
happened very quickly.
Yeah, totally. And my other honorable mention was one that we already spoke about, which was, wow, this battle is so good. Wow, what a cool battle. Well, you did win a race because of it.
Yeah.
Silenced. We already spoke about it, but that was another one of my honorable mentions.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment.
There were so many to choose from.
Literally so many to choose from. Something we haven't spoken about, which was one of my favorite things from the weekend, is Oscar's drive.
Yeah.
All of those overtakes.
Yep.
First of all, the overtake on Perez, I was like, ooh, stick it around the
Yes.
outside. Let's go.
That was such a good overtake.
Yeah, literally. And then hunted down Lewis.
Yep.
Overtook Lewis on the track. Hunted down Carlos. Overtook Carlos on the track. I feel like this was so undershown because of what was happening with Max and Lando.
Yes.
But like, he passed 3 of the best cars on the track. Not from like undercuts, not from anything like that, not from like bad pit stops. He just hunted them down and got past them.
Yeah.
And I was like, as you should. And Lewis obviously had the 5-second penalty. That was really funny.
Yes.
Oscar being like, Lewis went over the line.
He was like, if I got a track limits violation,
You must
You-
also
Yeah.
get one. But he didn't. He overtook Lewis before he'd served his penalty.
Yeah.
So, because I was like, oh, well, he's past Lewis, like net-wise.
Yeah.
But he got it past him on the track anyway.
Yeah.
Then he hunted Carlos, and he got Carlos.
Yep.
Couple more laps. Probably would have won the race.
Yeah.
And the fact that his lap time was deleted. And he started P7 instead of P3.
But still finished in P2.
Yeah. Stoked
Phenomenal.
about that.
Phenomenal.
Stoked about
Agreed.
that. So Oscar and all of his overtaking. And also just another thing I put down is just the shock of it all.
Yeah. Just the pure chaos.
Yeah.
Because it really just, the whole race, obviously the main excitement was at the end.
Yeah.
But throughout the whole
There
race,
was so much going on. And penalties.
There was penalties, there was
overtaking.
overtaking, there was wheel-to-wheel racing, there was just left field, like,
pit stops, team radios, teammate things, like with the Hasses and the Alpines.
It was just chaos the whole time.
Totally.
I
What was
agree.
yours?
Mine was a moment that we've already mentioned, which was Red Bull screwing up Max's pit stop. Because that was the moment where it was like,
it's on. Yeah, totally.
Because it went from like a 7-second gap to like 2 seconds.
1.5 seconds.
And the McLaren has been phenomenal on low fuel.
Yeah.
That I feel like that's why Lando has always, like, right at the end of the races, just been...
And that's why Oscar was on a charge too.
Yeah, on a medium tyre with low fuel, that McLaren
is so
just
good.
Comes alive.
The McLaren is so quick, and I'm
so
loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Yes. I was kind of annoyed. I love Carlos, but I do wish it was Charles, because if he had gotten those points, then he would have.
What did we just speak about? Charles girls being fangirls and wanting the wrong driver on the podium.
No,
I'm joking.
I just wanted him to win it for
I was thinking about this as well. I was like, if Lando DNFs, Charles is out of the points, so I'm fine. I was like, that's a little like. Makes me feel a little bit better.
I just wanted him to get P2 back.
That's fair. But speaking of the Drivers' Championship, Oscar is still ahead of George in the Drivers' World Championship by 1 point.
Nice.
Because that was another thing that I was like kind of had in the back of my mind. Is like, I know that George was like 7 or 8 points behind.
True.
And I was like, running P3 and P4.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to overtake him. Like, the points differential is, I don't know what it is, but I knew it wasn't that much.
Yeah.
But then when they were suddenly P1 and P2, somewhere in the chaos, my brain was like, the Drivers' Championship. But they're both like within 10 points of Perez now.
Yeah.
Like, I think Oscar might be like 7 points from Perez and George is 8, or like 6 and 7. Like, he's about to get by both of them.
Insane.
Silly surprise.
Yeah.
Is that what we're up to?
That is what we're up to. We should have done that after Biggest Meme, actually.
Yeah, probably.
I skipped it. You go.
The podiums? It's not even on my list, but I literally just like the fact that those 3 were on the podiums, and I've seen so much about it that we're like, we're appreciating these 3 number 2 drivers who are so overshadowed and underappreciated by their teammates, and like not always underappreciated by their teammates, but I mean compared to their teammates. Like, we always talk about Lewis Hamilton, we always talk about Charles Leclerc, we always talk about Lando Norris.
Yes.
But now their 3 teammates are just up on the podium, just like living life together. Like, that's not my silliest surprise. My silliest surprise is the fact that it was those 3 on the podium.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know. My silly surprise was literally George Russell winning that race.
Yeah, literally. Another honourable mention for silliest surprise is Charles being overtaken by Williams.
Bro!
What do you mean?
Oh, I just thought, so there was a point where, what have I done?
Uh-oh.
So there was a point where Charles was at P20.
Yeah.
And Alex Albon was P19. And then Max was coming up to
oh my god,
lap them.
After Max's pit stop, I think it was too.
Yeah.
Like, they came past it when Max was in the pit stop.
And I just thought it would be so funny being Max and just being like,
where am I?
Yeah. Charles?
What are you doing here? Yeah. Be like, is he like, have I come out behind signs? Like, I can imagine.
Like, what
he actually probably thought he slotted in behind signs.
Yeah.
Because signs was up there.
Because why would Charles be in P20?
Yeah. That's really funny.
So funny.
Yeah, totally.
And also the graphic that was like, the difference between the Max and Charles times like 69 seconds.
Yeah, I was like, why are we looking at this? I was like, who did this? That's so funny.
Well, we don't need to know.
No, like we get it. We get it. And
driver of the day.
I have 2.
Yes.
Oscar.
Yes.
Is my main one.
Yes.
First of all, Lando Norris getting Lando of the day. It pretty much is.
Yes, Lando of the day.
Who is the Lando of the day? Lando. What? Maybe were they voting before that happened, potentially?
They could have been. I reflected on this because when the graphic came up that he won, I messaged you immediately and I was like, what?
Because I ranted about how this is kind of ridiculous last week.
Yeah.
This is actually ridiculous.
I don't think it's that ridiculous. I think right up until the point that he shredded his tires because Max turned into him.
Yeah.
I think he actually drove a pretty solid
did.
race. I think if he had finished P2 or even P1, I mean, obviously P1,
If he was
would have
P1,
gone,
then yeah, of course.
but even P2, I would have thought, yeah, like fair. He drove a good, solid race.
yeah,
He took
I still
it to
think
Max.
if he was P2, like there still probably were other drivers that
Totally.
could have got it. But
oh, for sure.
it being a Lando versus Lando contest,
Yeah.
maybe Charles in there. Like,
literally. I had Oscar as well because he drove, like you said,
All
an
of those
absolutely
overtakes.
phenomenal race.
Also Danny Rick.
Also Danny Rick
Mhm.
and also Charles.
Yeah.
Because despite having
And Nico.
17 pit stops,
Yeah.
yeah, Nico too.
Nico too.
But like, despite having
Yeah.
so many pit stops,
Yeah.
and like hard tires that don't work, and having to replace his front wing, like
Yeah.
everything going wrong.
Still getting P11 is a good, really, really good effort.
Yeah.
And I wish that we could have seen maybe some more of his overtakes
Yes.
because I'm sure that some of them were really good.
True.
Cool. Is that it?
I think that's kind of it.
Oh my god, amazing.
I know.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in again.
Yeah, next week is Silverstone.
My sleep schedule is ruined,
Bro, I'm so tired.
but I'm here for it.
I had 3 coffees today.
Oh my god.
I know. I normally am like a one and done.
Yeah, I know.
I had to have 3. Very excited. I feel like it'll be a good
Yeah.
race. Hopefully.
Everything's been a good race.
Yes, for real. But like,
Monaco.
yeah. But Charlotte won.
Yeah.
But I feel like hopefully maybe we can see a Lando podium. I'll be okay with that.
Yeah. I feel like
Or a Lando win.
I'm
Or just a British win. I'd
a
like to
British
see a
win.
British win.
Yeah,
at
George 2 in a
Silverstone.
row would be insane.
That would be insane. I
Even
don't
a
think
Lewis
I
win
can
with
see that happening.
Mercedes.
Oh, I would love to see Lewis win another race, and it would be amazing if
If
that
he won
happened in
Silverstone.
Silverstone.
I want Lando to win Silverstone. I'm sick of seeing him being really upset about P2. Obviously, this is different.
Yes.
But he's been so upset after every single race ever since he won in Miami.
Yeah,
And I'm like, you're not going to win every race.
I know.
Like, you've seen, obviously, Max do it. So you're like, it's possible.
yeah.
But that's not realistic.
I
Like,
know.
You have to give yourself some wiggle room. Like, you're doing good, kid. Like,
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah. He needs a hug.
I know. Well, even Oscar after this race was a bit like, oh, like I could have had the win there potentially.
I know.
It's just like, it's okay.
Oh my god, on the Oscar and Carlos fist bump on the podium, I
Oh,
feel like
yeah.
healed hearts across the world. People that thought they were beefing. Obviously, we've clarified that they were never actually having beef or anything. But,
Yeah.
like, that was cute.
I know. That was sweet.
And, like, the McLaren team photo with Oscar P2 and the fact
I
that,
know.
like, Lando still turned up for the photo.
Because so many times they don't. So many
know.
times if one driver does like poorly or something bad happens or whatever,
They
they
just take it with-
leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, and the little clip of Oscar, like, patting him on the knee after. My little McLaren heart.
So cute.
So cute. Anyways,
Anyways, 2 down of this triple header, 1 to go. So
I'm excited.
We will see you guys next week
Yeah.
for our final triple header episode.
get a week
before a little
off.
bit of a break. I know.
Oh, I can't imagine how the drivers feel. I'm just kidding. We are totally fine. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you then.
Bye.